Marketed as the next evolution in fighting games, Multiversus had one of the most successful fighting game launches of all time. With inventive characters, a rarely explored doubles format, and being free to play, Multiversus looked like it was going to be the next big fighting game. But fast forward a little more than half a year, and the game's player count is at an all-time low. So what happened? The game peaked at more than 150,000 concurrent players, it won several Fighting Game of the Year awards, and many thought it had a chance to challenge Smash Bros. As the #1 platform fighter. Today, it's remembered as that game with LeBron James that couldn't live up to the hype. This is Multiversus, and why it failed. Before we get into why Multiversus failed, I'm sure many of you are hungry, which is why this is a good time to introduce today's sponsor, Factor. Factor is ready-made meals delivered straight to your doorstep. Each meal is designed by dietitians to ensure every meal is packed with premium, science-backed nutritional quality. Factor's prepared meals are all ready to eat in 2 minutes or less. Perfect for those busy days when you don't have time to think about what to make for lunch or dinner. With meal plans offering a wide variety of more than 27 meal options and a ton of add-on options like smoothies, keto shakes, and desserts, there's an option for every dietary need. If Factor sounds like the service for you, head to the link in the description or go to go.factor75.com and use the code below for 50% off your first box. Now, let's talk about Multiversus. As with many AAA games, there was a big lead up to the release of Multiversus. Articles, videos, streamers. Everyone was expecting big things from a game that had access to so many IPs. This included Hanna-Barbera cartoons, Looney Tunes, Game of Thrones, the DC Universe, the list goes on and on. People loved debating which characters would be added next and what their kit might look like. And this alone drove interest in the game through the roof. Multiversus also had the benefit of knowing what not to do, thanks to Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl releasing and fizzling out just a few months prior. NASB was a platform fighter's dream. Fast-paced gameplay, air dashing, nostalgic characters. But it was missing a lot. The netcode was mid, there were tons of infinites that didn't get patched out right away, and there were no voice lines. So the game felt incomplete. Although the gameplay was well developed and liked by many players, that in and of itself wasn't enough to keep them hooked. This gave Multiversus tangible things to improve on, and gamers anticipated a polished product from the get-go. At the beginning, things looked pretty good. The characters were incredibly unique, no small feat in such a saturated genre. The doubles format was a fresh take that hadn't been explored much in competitive tournaments, and it was easy to hop on with friends and find a match. Warner Brothers also did one other thing right that NASB didn't. They made their game free to play. Newcomers to the platform fighter genre were able to download and try out the game with no strings attached. You could play the game, complete challenges, and use in-game currency to unlock new characters, and quickly, people were coming from everywhere. From other platform fighters like Rivals of Aether and Smash, from other fighting games like Street Fighter and Tekken, and even people who had never picked up a fighting game before were giving Multiversus a chance. All in all, the game saw 150,000 concurrent players just after launch and broke records for fighting games. On the surface, everything looked really, really good for a couple of weeks. But pretty quickly, it became apparent that Multiversus had some issues. The gameplay was not nearly as streamlined as other games in the genre. Hitboxes like Finn's backpack had way too much priority, and combos that should have been confirms would often drop due to lag spikes or weird hitbox interactions. The inconsistency in the gameplay was exacerbated by a lack of quality of life features, namely the game's netcode. If you got into a game and one person had a bad connection, there would be constant lag spikes and teleportation. Some people couldn't even connect if they were playing on Wi-Fi. And while Multiversus game director, Tony Huynh, acknowledged the issue on Twitter, the fact is that it took way too long to fix, and many people just left the game forever. With these problems, it was clear that Multiversus was going to struggle with keeping people around. If new players are going to commit to your game, it has to be better than what they're already playing. For Multiversus, what people were already playing was games like Super Smash Bros. And to outdo the series that literally invented the genre is pretty much impossible. Smash is a game that has 89 playable characters, all of whom are reasonably balanced and competitively viable. Multiversus, on the other hand, had 17 playable characters on launch, and the incredibly inconsistent gameplay made it hard to keep people engaged. Within a couple of weeks, players started leaving Multiversus and going back to their main titles. Still, there was one thing that might have saved the game if the developers had done it properly. That, of course, is a constant stream of new characters and content. Even before the release of Multiversus Beta, potential characters were an incredibly hot topic. Just a few days before the start of the open beta, at Comic-Con 2022, the Multiversus team revealed 3 new characters that were in the works: LeBron James, Rick Sanchez, and Morty Smith. 2 months after that, they released 4 more characters, including Black Adam, Stripe and Gizmo from Gremlins, and Marvin the Martian. And from December 2022 until now, there haven't been any new characters or major updates for the game. Another thing that pushed new players away was characters only being available on rotation. It's common in free-to-play games for the trade-off of the game being free is having to spend hours grinding in-game and earn enough in-game currency to unlock characters that you want. They do stuff like this in League of Legends, Valorant, and many other titles. But for new players to go through an entire tutorial playing characters like Shaggy and Wonder Woman and not having access to them when they actually start playing the game can be incredibly daunting. Suddenly, you're stuck playing a character like Jake the Dog, and on top of learning a new genre of game, you have no idea what your character does. This pushed many new players to quit the game altogether. Finally, the innovative doubles format that was Multiversus' main selling point may have actually hurt it in the long run. While it was super fun to find a practice partner and compete together, the concept of a 2v2 fighting game was foreign to most, and it was hard for traditional fighting game players to stick with the new concept. Within a month of its release, the active player base of Multiversus on Steam went from 150k to 22k, and by October, the game was down to 9,000 active players. The real nail in the coffin was Warner Bros.' support of the esports scene. Multiversus was featured at EVO 2022, and Warner Bros. Put up a $100,000 prize pool. 2 professional Smash players, Void and Nakat, won the event, cashed their checks, and pretty soon after, stopped playing the game altogether. Their exit from the scene came around the same time that Multiversus stopped getting new updates, in November. At this point, Multiversus was barely hitting 1,000 average daily viewers on Twitch, and not having any major tournaments or financial support from Warner Bros. Meant that no one was really interested in the game anymore. While no new characters or major updates have happened in the last few months, the game did get a new ranked mode as of February 14th, 2023. However, it seems like too little too late, and the new mode has done little to bring players back to the game. And as of March 27th, Multiversus announced that they will be closing the open beta that spanned more than 2 seasons. You'll still be able to play the game offline with limited access, so not all hope is lost. During the downtime, there will be improvements to the gameplay, the progression system, the game's netcode, and more. However, there was a lot of frustration from players due to the fact that their in-game purchases are not accessible anymore, and not refundable by any means. However, the big question is, will this downtime and updating of Multiversus be enough to revive the player base? We'll just have to wait to see what Warner Bros. Does. The future of this once promising platform fighter looks grim. However, Warner Bros. Has been praised in the past for showing tremendous interest in their esports scenes. Their more established titles, Mortal Kombat and Injustice, used to feature annual competitive leagues fully funded by Warner Bros., with prize pools reaching up to $500,000. Although Mortal Kombat definitely has bigger name recognition, it's not out of the question that they do something similar for Multiversus. After all, the game is more accessible, it's free to play, and it features a really cool doubles format. Multiversus is a great example of how important a launch can be for a game. If you set the expectations high, the product you're selling had better live up to them, because otherwise, people will simply revert back to their old games. If any platform fighting game is going to compete with Smash, it's going to take 3 things: a strong IP, incredibly polished gameplay, and developer support of a competitive scene. Multiversus proved that if you put $100,000 up for your players, people will take the game seriously. But as soon as that money dries up, unless the game itself is unbelievably good, no one's gonna stick around. What did you think of Multiversus? What characters did you hope would be in the game, but never actually made it? Let us know in the comments below. This video is made possible thanks to our wonderful patrons. Massive thank you to everyone on this list, and shout out to B, Cloud, Kiaostick, Shampoo, Spartacus, and Yashichi for being platinum supporters. And an extra special shout out to Marco and Steph for being our diamond supporters. We hope you guys like this month's videos. If you want to talk to us, check out our Discord. If you want to support our channel and get info on unreleased videos, check out our Patreon. If you want to help us out in a different way, leaving a like, subscribing, and hitting the bell to stay up to date is also appreciated. My name is Jonah. Thanks for watching.